Hey guys, welcome back to another SMA Victor podcast. In today's episode, we are going to be discussing why is Spinraza so expensive. I came across this title and topic, and I wanted to make a video talking about it because I personally haven't seen anyone making a video about it. So let's get right into it. Hi, ChatGPT. I want you to be my co-host within today's episode. In today's episode, I have a fascinating topic for you, which is Spinraza. Why is Spinraza so expensive? And it says Spinraza is expensive primarily because it is a pioneering treatment for a rare and life-threatening disease, meaning the manufacturer must recoup significant research and development R&D cost from a very small patient population.
Absolutely, Victor. And it's not just the R&D costs. The manufacturing process for Spinraza is quite complex. And there's also the aspect of the rarity of the condition it treats, which makes the pricing a bit higher. It's a really interesting topic.
So it says key factors contributing to the high price include, so first and foremost is, okay, I do see it. Okay, never mind. Let's get right into it. So it says key factors contributing to the high price include rare disease, parentheses, orphan drug status, parentheses, spinal muscular atrophy is a rare genetic disorder, which means there are fewer patients to cover the substantial cost of development and manufacturing. To encourage companies to invest in treatments for such small markets, laws like the Orphan Drug Act provide incentives such as tax credits and market exclusivity, which can result in high launch prices. So, can you break this down and what does this exactly mean for myself and the audience?
Of course. So basically, because spinal muscular atrophy is a rare condition, there aren't a lot of patients to share the costs of developing and producing the drug. The government recognizes this challenge and provides incentives to drug companies like tax breaks and exclusivity in the market for a certain period. That exclusivity means the company can set a higher price to cover their costs and make a profit, which is why the drug can be so expensive.
Does it show? Okay, let's finish this first, and then we'll start asking questions. Because it could say it below. So high R&D and manufacturing costs, developing innovative, cutting-edge drugs involves years of costly research, clinical trials, and FDA approval processes. The manufacturing process for advanced therapies like Spinraza is also complex and expensive.
Exactly. So the process of developing a drug like Spinraza is lengthy and costly, involving a lot of research, clinical trials, and regulatory hurdles. On top of that, the actual manufacturing of these advanced therapies is pretty intricate and requires specialized facilities and processes, which all adds to the cost. It definitely makes for a complex pricing picture.
So what's the abbreviation for R&D?
R&D stands for research and development. It's basically the process of innovating and creating new products or therapies, and it involves a lot of time, effort, and money.
And it says, oh yeah, it says it right here, research and development. Right here.
Yep, exactly.
R&D. So it shows it right there. Market exclusivity as a brand name drug with a patent, the manufacturer Biogen has a period of market exclusivity, allowing them to set the price without immediate generic competition. So what does this mean? Like, there's no competition. There's no competition.
That's right. Market exclusivity means that for a certain period of time, no other company can produce a generic version of the drug. This gives the manufacturer a sort of monopoly on the market, allowing them to set and maintain a higher price without having to compete with cheaper generics. It's a big factor in the pricing of these medications.
Now, by generic, what exactly do you mean?
A generic drug is essentially a copy of a brand name drug, but it's usually sold at a much lower price once the patent or exclusivity period ends. The generic version contains the same active ingredients and works the same way as the original, but it's much more affordable because the company didn't have to invest in the original research and development. So until that generic version comes out, the brand name drug remains pricier.
Okay, now up to my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong. Whenever a medication is generic, isn't there some slight differences within the medication?
You're absolutely right. Generic drugs do have to be very similar to the brand name version in terms of active ingredients, strength, dosage form, and route of administration. And however, there can be slight differences in inactive ingredients like fillers or colorings, but these differences are generally considered insignificant in terms of how the drug works. The main thing is that the generic has to be just as effective and safe as the brand name drug.
Yeah, so like in terms of like when it comes to like generic medication, the medication is it treats the same symptoms, but the ingredients within it are not entirely the same compared to the original actual branded medication.
That's a great way to put it. The generic version definitely treats the same condition and is equally effective, but the inactive ingredients might be a bit different. So the overall outcome for the patient is the same, but the formulation details might vary slightly.
Yeah, so this is like a weird analogy, but it popped up into my head. It's like, picture you buying an iPhone from the store, right? Like Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, or Apple, okay? You buy an iPhone from Apple, let's just say, and someone is selling the same functionalities of the iPhone, but a off-brand version, for much cheaper. So on Apple, you buy the phone for, let's just say, $1,000 for simplicity, but someone can have the same functionalities such as touchscreen, camera, and same similar operating systems within another phone, but this phone could be, say, like $200. So it could be and appear to look the same, but it's slightly different.
That's actually a pretty great analogy. The generic drug is like that off-brand phone in the sense that it performs the same function and delivers the same results, but it might have some slight differences in the details. And just like the off-brand phone is more affordable, the generic drug is typically less expensive than the brand name version.
Yeah, but I will not knock it is not in my intention by any means to knock generic brands or off brands. I just want to be transparent as much as possible while I make these podcasts and while I make these episodes. And, also, but I am not knocking generic medication. If it works and it's more affordable for you, I'm all for it, Again, I just want to be transparent as much as possible as I make these videos. So the next topic says, value-based pricing. Drug companies often price treatments based on the perceived value they provide in extending or dramatically improving a patient's life. Spinraza was the first FDA-approved treatment for SMA, and its ability to stop the progression of the devastating disease is considered a significant breakthrough within the SMA community. So can you break this down for me or for us?
Absolutely. So value-based pricing means that the cost of a medication is set according to the benefit it provides to patients. In the case of Spinraza, it was the first treatment approved for SMA, and it has a major impact on slowing or even halting the progression of the disease. Because of this significant breakthrough, the price reflects the immense value it brings to patients' lives and their quality of life. It's all about how much of a difference the drug makes.
And the next one says, for profit business model, ultimately, companies charge what they believe the market will bear. The high price tag reflects a business decision aimed at generating profits to fund future research and reward investors.
Exactly. At the end of the day, pharmaceutical companies are businesses, and they do need to generate profits to stay sustainable. The price they set often reflects what they believe the market can handle, and that revenue helps fund future innovations and also rewards their investors. It's a balancing act between making sure they can continue their work and making the medication accessible.
So what exactly do you mean by what the market can handle?
So when we say what the market can handle, we mean that the price of a medication is often based on what patients, insurance companies, and the healthcare system as a whole are willing or able to pay. Essentially, the company sets a price that they think the market will accept, balancing the need to cover their costs and make a profit with the ability of patients and payers to afford it. It's a bit of an economic equation.
So essentially, you're looking at what our competitors charging, and you go based off something similar.
Exactly. That's definitely one part of it. Companies look at what competitors are charging, the value their own drug brings, and meet overall market conditions to set a price that they feel is fair and sustainable. It's definitely a complex balancing act.
So you're pretty much looking at the market, seeing what competitors are charging, and then you go based off the perceived value you can provide within the market in a weird way, which are patients, and you go based off, okay, such and such medication is treating such and such condition. You know what? Let's go and let's find a median within a price range, so we can set ourselves apart from competition and also show our perceived value within the market.
You've got it. It's definitely a combination of factors. Looking at the competition, understanding the unique value that the medication brings, and in that sweet spot in pricing. It's all about making sure it's competitive, fair, and also reflects the value it provides to patients. It's definitely an interesting process.
So the initial cost was set at a high benchmark of $750,000 for the first year of treatment and $375,000 annually thereafter for life. While this is a significant expense, some argue that when compared to the potential lifelong cost associated with managing untreated SMA, or even the one-time multi-million-dollar price tag of competing gene therapies like Zolgensma, the price can be framed as a long-term value proposition. So can you please break this down what this means?
Absolutely. So the initial cost of Spinraza is quite high, about $750,000 in the first year, and then around $375,000 each year after that. That does sound like a lot, but when you look at it over the long term, it might actually be cost effective. If SMA is left untreated, the ongoing medical costs for managing the condition can add up to a huge amount over a lifetime. Plus, when you compare it to other treatments like gene therapies that cost several $1 million upfront, but only once, Spinraza's ongoing cost can be seen as more manageable and providing long-term value. It's all about the bigger picture in terms of cost savings and health benefits in the long run.
So it says, how much does Spinraza cost in the U.S.? And it says, Neurosin Spinraza, which is right here, Spinraza, for 12 milligrams. It is on average year one, 708,000, subsequent, and year one is 708,000, and subsequent years 354,000. So the reason why year one is more expensive is just because the first month you're going every week, and then after that, then it spreads out into every 4 months. So that's why year one is more expensive, and then the years after it's just every 4 months. You do it after that way. But every time I get my injection, it's always around a little over like 150, around 150, just because I personally get sedated, so a lot more medical team is provided. So that's why my injections are a little bit more. But, okay, so we didn't talk about it. So I have a last fascinating question is, now, how long did it take for the medication to be discovered? Well, technically I just answered my own question because SMA, there was no treatment available. Okay, so how long was this research for Spinraza alone being developed or researched? Before 2016, it became an FDA-approved medication.
The development of Spinraza actually started quite a while back. The key discovery of the gene mutation that causes SMA happened in the early 1990s. Then in 2006, researchers found a target for the drug. Clinical trials began in 2011, and it got FDA approval at the end of 2016. So overall, it was a process that spanned a couple of decades from the initial discovery to the final approval.
So, and during this time, was there any form of funding to help fund this research, or how is this research and development in the works in terms of cost, so they can find this first ever medical treatment breakthrough within the SMA community?
Yes, absolutely. During the development of Spinraza, there was significant funding from organizations like Cure SMA, which supported early research from around 2003 to 2006. The Muscular Dystrophy Association also invested about $750,000 in the early stages. So it was a combination of dedicated nonprofits and other sources that made it possible.
So Cure SMA, which is a phenomenal organization, I actually have a video talking about their organization. A great, extraordinary organization. Really advocating for the SMA community and helped fund further research for SMA. And MDA, which is Muscular Dystrophy Association, actually it's right here. MDA right here is another organization that helped fund the developmental phase behind Spinraza before it became known to the general public. This is a very fascinating episode. What is one key takeaway for myself and the audience to take away from this video in terms of why Spinraza is so expensive? But I want people to understand that why it's so pricey and how it is so much more than just a price tag. And up front it looks expensive, but in reality, behind the scenes, there was so much work behind the scenes and decades of time developing further research that explains why it's the price tag that it is now.
Absolutely. That's a really important point. I think the key takeaway is that the high cost of Spinraza reflects not just the innovation and the complexity of the treatment, but also the decades of research, the substantial development costs, and the invaluable contributions from organizations like Cure SMA and the Muscular Dystrophy Association. So while the price tag might seem high at first glance, truly represents a massive amount of work and a breakthrough for the SMA community. It really is a reflection of that dedication and effort.
Yeah, definitely. And if you have SMA, if you personally have SMA, if you personally have SMA and you've been struggling to get treatment for SMA, look up Cure SMA, and there are actually programs and advocacy groups that are willing and trying to advocate for you to receive proper medication needed for your condition. So look up Cure SMA if you haven't heard of them. And it's a great organization. I am not sponsored. I am not affiliated. They have no awareness that I am even making this video. I just wanted to make this video. I was looking at ideas and topics to create episodes on, and I came across this topic, this idea. Something similar, wasn't the exact one, but something similar. And I was like, that's a great topic. That's a great idea. Why don't you talk about it? So I decided to make an episode on it to, one, educate myself, and to help spread more information in regards to SMA. Because the both you and I know, the more we can make further advancements in medical treatment breakthroughs within the SMA community. It all begins with understanding. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And as always, remember, grow through what you go through. Much love.